Hi guys, how's everybody? Yeah, we're counting down, getting close to New Year's Eve. So what I wanted to do is just to change it up a little bit on an antipasto platter. Because of COVID, we're trying not to touch everything. So I'm wearing my gloves today. So what I decided to do was not only because of COVID, but because of some of my friends and family members have some dietary preferences or some dietary needs that I wanted to give them each a little personal antipasto platter. So I figured with a smaller guest list, which I'm only having 6 people. So we're actually going to do this after my workshop today instead of New Year's Eve. But um, because there's only 6, you have that time then to be more individual and to give them something, like my friend Robin doesn't like mortadella, so I'm leaving that off her plate. So I just feel like the little touches that you give each little plate, the things that you know about that person, just from being around them. This is the group that we've been with since COVID started, so I definitely know what they like and what they don't like as far as wines and food. So it's just like that little special touch. So it's not just a normal, Tuesday night or Thursday night. It's a New Year's Eve kind of a night. So I don't mind taking that time to do it a little differently. And again, if you have family members, I have a daughter-in-law who is severely celiac. So if she were to be coming, I would want to make sure that her plate was separate with absolutely no gluten on her plate. I try normally to do, when I do any pasta platter, and if any of you have heard me before, I've said this, but I cheated today just because of what I had in my pantry. I try to only do gluten-free crackers, but this time, again, I cheat. I think one is and the others aren't. But, and then also what I want to do is try to pair up the wines. So the wines I chose, honestly, depending on what you like, you could not go this elaborate if you didn't want to. If you said, well, that's just too much for me to choose 4 wines. How am I going to do that? So they all 4 could hold up to this entire platter, honestly. They're all bold enough. And I'm not saying you have to stick with, each of these brands. No one's paying me to do any of this. I just sort of pick what I like. But again, depending on what you and your little group likes, like if you are sparkling or Prosecco or champagne, then stick with that. You don't have to add the other wines. Again, my group are big Cab fans. One gal is Chardonnay. So, I probably will skip the other 2 when I take this. I'm taking this to their house later. So again, it's just about what they like. And again, any of these wines would be fine. They all are pretty complex and have layers. So that's mainly the one thing. You want to have an interesting wine. If you want to pair one wine with everything, you want to make sure it's got something in it. It's got some interest to it. So, and then I'm going to talk about some of the cheeses I chose. So I don't know how many of you are local. I live in Ocean City, Maryland. So my local cheese shop that I go to is called West OC Bottle Shop. It's actually a liquor store and wine store. And they have the most amazing assortment of cheeses. So I called the owner and I said, Sarah, because I'm bad with that. If I go in and try to choose, it takes me forever. And I don't know what to get and I get confused. So I said, Sarah, if you could pick 4 wines or 4 cheeses for a platter, just pick them for me and then tell me a little bit about them. So that's what she did. And she did a great job. I haven't tried some of them yet. I've tried a few of them. So I've got a little cheat plate here that I'm going to try so that I can actually describe them a little better. So I'm going to say cheers. We're going to start with this Santa Margarita Sparkling Rosé. So everybody knows Santa Margarita mainly is iconic for their Pinot Grigio and their Chianti Classico. And their Prosecco is somewhat popular, but you don't see the sparkling rosé a lot. You see it around the holidays more with all the bigger brands. What I like about Santa Margarita is that even though they're a big brand. The quality and the integrity is still there for all of their wines. I'm never really disappointed with any Santa Margherita wines. So I thought it would be a little different to try sparkling rosé instead of to just go with Prosecco or Champagne. So obviously Santa Margherita is Italian. So it's from that Veneto region. The company started just about a half an hour outside of Venice in the Veneto region. And I think back in the 30s, a count came along and started the company. And then in the 50s, it got taken over. And now, you know, it's all over Tuscany. There are vineyards all over from Veneto to Tuscany. So again, you know them mainly for the Pinot Grigio and Chianti Classico, but we're going to try this. And I'm going to try this with the cheese that Sarah suggested, is this Delice Bourguignon. So it's from Burgundy. It's a very creamy texture. These are all cow's milk cheeses today. Normally I try to mix it up and put in a goat milk cheese, but these happen to all be cow's milk, so we don't have to discuss that anymore. So very creamy texture. I'm gonna try the cheese first. And then, oh my goodness, it's like triple cream. It's so delicious. Wow. So this has got a lot going on to the nose, which is great. Again, something to talk about. So if you're having people over, you want a wine that you can really discuss and talk about, you know, what do you get out of this? You get these bright, juicy berry aromas, and then in your mouth just starts bubbling in effervescence. And so that's why you start out normally with a sparkling when you're doing a tasting or when you're having a big dinner. Normally the sparkling wine is what gets your taste buds going, really starts you bubbling in there, and the effervescence is just all over your mouth. And it's getting you excited to eat. That's mainly what, like in Italy, when they call it aperitivo hour, and they normally serve Prosecco, or like Aperol Spritz with Prosecco. But it's to entice your taste buds. So that's what all the bubbles are about. So I'll stop for a minute on the wine and talk a little bit about these platters. So what I've done is on the individual plates, I'll just start with a normal one. So a normal one, it's got a lot of the cured lunch meats, a lot of Italian lunch meats. So I've got prosciutto, soppressata, and mortadella. I've put in some dried cured black olives, and I chose those mainly because I didn't really want anything wet on these plates. I didn't want anything to get soggy. And I couldn't find this. This is like the smaller little container I could find, and I put a little hummus in that. So some of them don't have hummus, you'll see, because I know those people don't like hummus, so I'm not going to waste that. I did some cashew nuts and some dried cranberries and pecans with the black olives. And then I figured I left some space on these plates, so then they can come to the cheese board and sort of pick what they want, with the crackers, obviously. Because these are expensive cheeses, this is probably about $50 in cheeses, these 4 different cheeses. Again, because it's a special night, special occasion. I didn't want to put the cheeses on the plate because I wanted them to see them whole and see exactly what they are. Then they can ask me, hey, do you think I like this? Because I didn't want to cut them all up individual, not knowing what everybody would really prefer. So this way they can see what they are and then decide if they would like to slice. And I also want to keep them big for you to see. So then I have a friend who is vegan. So what I did for her is, obviously she's not getting any lunch meats or cheeses. So I did a little more snap peas. I gave her some dried figs. I got those and I meant to put on everybody's plate, but they look a little funky. They just don't have a lot of interest to me in their look. I thought they'd be a little prettier. But obviously then I gave her hummus. She's got some little lupini beans here, got her some olives, and then just some snap peas and carrots so that she can dip in her hummus. And obviously she can grab her crackers up here. But moving on to the next cheese, So we're going to a Beamster extra aged Gouda. So I'm going to try a little chunk of that. I'm hearing that it goes fabulous with Chardonnay. I didn't bring a dump bucket, so I have to drink this before I can move on because I just brought one glass each for these two and the reds, just of my space limitations. So I'm going to try this little extra aged Gouda. So very nutty. Oh my goodness. Butterscotchy. Really good. Again, that's a cow's milk Beamster from Holland. It's a Holland cheese, a Dutch cheese, but it has a lot going on, which does this Farniente Chardonnay. So actually I'm going to reach over and grab another glass when I'm done. I don't want to be sloshed by the end of this. So Farniente Chardonnay. I'm going to go back one moment. In the Santa Margarita, I wanted to give you guys price points if you do like it, because it is really lovely. And it's about $25.99 retail, so it's not too bad. I did up the ante a little bit on price points, again, because I did that with the cheeses. I'm going to serve higher quality cheeses. I'm going to serve a little higher quality wines because it is a special night. But the Farniente, I've been to the estate twice. It's one of the most beautiful estates I've ever been to in my life. It's right in the deep heart of Napa Valley. I mean, in probably the best location. So they're really well known for their Cabernets and any of their other red blends. One of these friends got us a bottle of the Cabernet for Christmas. So we might be sharing that tonight later. But I took the Chardonnay, and one of those Chardonnays that I really like to drink in the winter time. So normally I go from drinking Chardonnay in the summer, and then I switch over to red wine when the cool air hits. But certain Chardonnays have more substance to them, and I honestly don't even like drinking them in the summertime because I want a white wine to be really refreshing. That's what I look for more in the summer when it's warm out. But this wine is complex and has so many layers. You just get all these things that you really want out of a really good Chardonnay, like toasted vanilla, toasted oak, spice. I mean, you get all the things that make you feel good. You get little baking spices, cinnamon. I mean, you just normally don't get all those things out of unless you're really getting a high-end Chardonnay. So this is more of a pricier Chardonnay, probably going to cost you about $69 retail. But once again, like I said, I thought it was a special night, so I'm going to serve something a little more special. So that with the aged Gouda is like perfection. When we went to the Farniente estate, they take you down in the caves. Highly recommend. They do public visits, but highly recommend taking a tour. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous estate. They take you in the caves, and at the very end, you have a tasting, and they open this door, and it's like magic. This beautiful big door opens up, and the biggest round table you've ever seen in your life, and it's already set up for you and your guests, and they only do cheeses and wine, and it's just it was so spectacular, and of course the cheeses were so high quality. But I highly recommend the Farniente property. So I'm going to move on to this Petite Syrah. So Rutherford Ranch, also really probably 2 miles away from Farniente. Not as impressive as the estate itself. It's pretty under the radar, very low key, very casual, but they're really well known for their cab. One of my husband's favorite cabs is a Rutherford Ranch, so he likes their wines. This happens to be a Petite Syrah. So normally I would probably say I'd go to Pinot Noir, because that's my sort of go-to for a lighter bodied red. But again, I got this from a friend that belongs to their wine club. So you can't get this one in the store. This one is only through their wine club or at their estate. But I really wanted to give it a try. So you and I are trying it for the first time together. I didn't list these wines, but if you wanted to go out and grab them, again, this is the only one. And I didn't realize that until I pulled up the notes, that it's just a wine club wine. And it's about $45, which is sort of normal for retail. It's 97% Petit Syrah and just 3% Cab. So again, I'm going to grab a glass quick. A little splash. So again, from what I've read up on it, it's very layered and complex. Again, this is what I was looking for. I was just going through my cabinet and just trying to find things that I thought might have a little complexity to them. So we're going to pair that with this Soto Cheneray. So the Soto Cheneray is a truffle cheese from Italy. Soto Cheneray means like under the ash. So literally you can see the some of it, you can still see the ash on the rind. So that's where they find the truffles, under the ash, when they're looking for truffles. So it's one of their most popular cheeses. I have tried this before. It's amazing. And I thought it would go really nicely with this Petit Syrah. So, oh my gosh. Soto Cheneray. Again, if you're not from here, you can get to Western Bottle Shop. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll be able to find it. It is amazing. And perfect with this. Wow. That is a really good cheese. Well, I need to talk about the crackers. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things you want to make sure you have on a platter. You want to always make sure you have extra slicers, extra spreaders, just things that people can help themselves. One thing that when you have a little get together, if you don't properly put all your things, then people are constantly asking you for something. So here's even what I did is I put the napkin right under the plate so that all they have to do is come up, grab their plate, grab their napkin. You always want to make sure you have little skewers because you don't want people getting their fingers all throughout the platter if you decided to do one big one. And it is pretty when you do a big one. But you have little picks, something they can just sort of pick their own stuff and they're not getting their hands all over everyone else's food. Little truffle honey goes great with some of these cheeses. I didn't use it on mine, but you can certainly, again, put in a little ramekin or drizzle it on your cheese, however you like to do that. But that's a nice touch too. Little jam. I think I've got a little jam down here. Again, always nice to have this on hand. Basically, what you want to go for when you're doing a platter is try to get as many elements as you can. So you want soft, hard, crunchy, chewy, tangy, bitter. I mean, you just want to try to get all those things. I didn't really have anything in this platter that's super acidic, but if you're doing a platter where you can put out larger bowls, then I would say, put out some nice marinated artichokes or any of those nice marinated vegetables. Really go well with pairing with cheeses, with the wines, so that you just are trying to get every element you can out of your platter. So now we're going to move on to, I didn't drink this either. Well, I'm not doing very well.
Erin, we have 2 fast questions as you're doing that.
Sure, yeah.
We want to know any suggestions which meats pair well with which cheese and which wine?
Okay, so for the meats, basically, again, they all do pretty well, but I would say the meats are going to go better with the reds for the most part. When you're pairing, again, mild with more mild wines and bolder with more bold wines. So I would sort of eat the other little things and mainly the cheeses, and then start with the meats once I got to the red wines. It's just going to be a little better pairing than only white wine. But again, it's completely there are no rules. I mean, you don't have to feel like you want to go by rules. You're with your friends, you want to have fun, you want to eat what you like, you want them to eat what they like and how they like. So don't set rules, because that'll take the fun out of it. I would say I've tried to do pairings with my friends before, and we've talked about it beforehand. And then once we do it, they just start getting off track and they start drinking what they like. So I just I don't do it anymore. I mean, I like it, but I can't push it on people when they're not, they want to talk about other stuff. What happened today? What happened this week? So again, you can try, your friends. Some might be like, yes, I would love to do a tasting and, go through each one. Some just want to sit and chat and eat while they chat and not talk about what they're eating or drinking. So it's totally up to you and your friends. I'm just trying to show you a few little different ways to do it, just to make it a little more fun, because it has been a boring season and we're not getting together with people very much. So it's nice when we do that we can find something to talk about that's not politics or COVID. That's basically it. So again, I went off topic, but I would say, yeah, you definitely, your cured meats are going to go much better with your reds. So now we're going on to Rodney Strong. Rodney Strong, this actually came in, now you can find this at the store. This came in like $25.99, I want to say. So normally cabs are the highest price wines that I pair with, but yeah, $24.99. So you should be able to find that just about anywhere. It's a Alexander Valley cab, so it's not their basic cab, but Rodney Strong really concentrates that's in the Sonoma County, so it's right near Simi. Simi is my husband's favorite little go-to everyday cab. So Alexander Valley is where he likes his cabs from. And again, you can go, up and up and up, but these are nice little mid-range that you can afford for every day. But Rodney Strong stays in Alexander Valley, Chalk Hill, and got my little notes here. I just don't have time. I don't have room behind me to look. Yeah. In that region, there's another region that I didn't write down, but in Chalk Hill, Alexander Valley, that's going to bother me now. But basically, this is a high percentage Cabernet, just a little bit of Merlot and Petit Verdot and Malbec. So again, cabs, they like to put in a little blend, but if it's a cab, then it's going to be, the highest percentage is going to be a cab. So I'm going to give that a little screw. I have had that before, and I did open it early because even though it's not a high price wine, it's got a lot going on. So it really hits you. You open that bottle and it's like, wow, there are so many bold aromas and flavors going on that you really need to let that aerate a little bit. And honestly, that goes for all wines. I think it's really, you get your best flavor out of them if you let them sit for half an hour at least and open them. Same thing with the back to the whites. I'm not keeping them in a chiller because this time of year I really don't want them super cold, especially this Chardonnay. I can taste it so much better when it's not really, really cold. So again, in the winter, I don't want a really cold wine. I'm going to go back real quick to this Margarita because I thought it was really interesting. The blend on that is, it's got mainly Chardonnay, I know that. And then it's got the Glera grape is the grape that is always used for Prosecco. So it's 40% Galera, 55% Chardonnay, and then you wonder, well, what gives it the little rosy color? It's 5% Malbec. So a little Malbec thrown in there, and that's what gives it its nice, beautiful hue. So it's a really pretty color. But yes, Galera, you've never heard of that wine probably, and it's or never heard that grape, but that is the grape used in the Veneto region for Prosecco only. So I'm going to talk a little more about that last cheese. I didn't get to try it. So the last cheese is a local cheese out of Easton, Maryland. So again, I'm in Ocean City, Maryland, and this is called Chapel's Country Creamery. And the name of it is Woodbine. So it's more of like an Alpine style cheese, all cow's milk, but it's made in Easton, Maryland. So they have a really nice line. If you go on their website, you can order directly. Really high quality, and the Woodbine is one of their most premium cheeses. So I'm gonna try that. I want to go back to that truffle cheese because it was so good, but I want to try them all. So that was highly recommended to go with Cabernet. Who knew? Usually lighter the cheese, stay lighter, darker the cheese. You go a little darker too, but no. This is really good. Again, a lot of nutty flavors. Just layers and layers in my mouth. So good. It's very flaky, so you could probably shave that. You could probably crumble it. You know, put it on different things. Put it on top of a salad if you wanted to crumble it. But the cab really pairs well with that. I really like that pairing, and that was recommended by my friend Sarah. So we've tried them all. We've tried all the wines. We've tried all the cheeses. I'm not going to dig into these because, again, I'm saving them. But anything you want to know, I'm here.
Okay, so we have a few more. Which meats specifically, maybe some names of meats that you would serve with sparkling wine?
Oh, well, I would say prosciutto is definitely one that I would serve with sparkling. It's milder to me, so it would go better with sparkling. They're really nice if you wrap the prosciutto around a little breadstick is good, and that way you've got it all in one bite. I mean, there's just endless things you can do when you do an antipasto platter. I think the main thing is trying to keep it simple. Like the soppressata's got a little spice to it, so that's where you'd want to keep that with a bolder red wine. Mortadella could go either way. I love mortadella. I could pair that with just about anything. But again, I have one of my friends, Robin, does not like mortadella, so she's not getting any on her platter. So that was a little more for everyone else, except for our vegan friend. But yeah, I would say if it's spicy meat, then you want to stick with the red wines. But if it's mild, then there's no reason why you can't pair it with a sparkling.
Okay, what was the name of the Gouda that you showed us again, please?
The Gouda was the Beemster Extra Age. So normally it's aged like 16 months, and this is aged 24 months. So this is like their top tier Gouda. And Beemster is a Dutch cheese. So again, nice and hard. The only one that was really soft was this first one, this cheese from Burgundy that just triple cream, extra creamy. And all the others were somewhat hard.
Yeah, somebody want to know, can you hold up? I think we couldn't really see the one you said it had ash in the rind as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
They can see it.
And you can see the little flecks of truffles throughout. But if you look, the ash on the rind, I mean, it starts to flake off. It's sort of scary, but it tastes like truffles, so it's delicious. It's probably my favorite of this whole batch, I have to say. And again, it's something you want to have in the wintertime. You know, it's just that truffle flavor, just really, I love it. And after fall hits, that's what you want.
And how does ash get around the cheese? Do you know how they actually process it so that?
I'm not sure if I have that, but I know it's used mainly to protect it. I do remember reading that. Again, Soto Cheneray is below the ash, so you find the truffles below the ash. And I guess it's just the best choice to preserve it, probably, because so this is the only Italian cheese. And, you know, they're just not as big on preservatives as we are with our cheeses. And that's a pretty big issue. So if you're ever going to buy even all European cheeses basically are much, they're not putting as many preservatives in their cheeses as we do, unless you're going for this nice little local creamery. But the rest of these are all European. And again, just the quality is from the get-go, you know, from the farm itself, and it's the ethics that they use. And I will always try to go for a European cheese.
What's the rule
Unless it's local.
Sorry. What's the rule of thumb for how many cheeses that you put on a platter? Like, how do you figure out proportionately? Let's say you have 6 people coming over. What would you put to assemble so that would be a right amount?
Yeah. So this is more than enough for 6 people. Again, if I were to do this and I really had 6 people coming, I probably would have, you know, cut these in half and I'd still be fine. But I wanted you to see them just right out of the package, nice and big, so that you guys could see them. But 4 is more than enough. Sometimes you can do 3, and that's fine, depending on what else you're putting out there. But 4 is more than enough. As long as you have a creamy, semi-soft, you know, something cheddary or yellow that's really nice and hard and firm. And then you could always put in like a manchego. You know, I do like a manchego. Would have been a good substitute for this Alpine. But I think as long as you just mix it up so they're not all similar, like, you know, you could have a brie instead of this. I mean, you could even add something spicy, a little jalapeno in it, that would add some interest. But 4 is more than enough. And that's why I didn't want to go shopping for it myself, because I would have gotten way too many. And then it's just overwhelming. You know, you don't want to overwhelm your guests. You want them to feel like, oh, well, I can do this, but it's really good. And it's really was done really well. And, but it didn't look that hard. And that's really what I'm trying to do. I don't want to, you know, be like, oh, this took me all day long. It's not like that. You want to do things that are easy for you, easy for your lifestyle, things that your friends are going to appreciate, but you don't want to feel like you've been slaving all day trying to make it happen. And if you keep a lot of these things in your pantry on a regular basis, then you can whip up something very similar all the time. Or have
So I think this might
good cheese store nearby. Good. My cheese store, you can just call her and pick it up, come right to the car and brings it right to me. So that's good. Within
I think
an hour.
This might be the last question. So as far as just like serving utensils, when you have cheese out, seems to be some confusion versus like the little knives versus the cheese server. How do you
just keep a few different things and let them decide, you know, like I had a slicer, have a little sharp knife, you know, have a couple spreaders, because like this semi-soft guy, all they'd have to do was take, you know, a little easy spreader that you would use for hummus or something, and just sort of swoop up a little space. So again, as long as you just have a few different things, and they don't have to come looking for you saying, oh, where's the knife, or where's this? It's just thinking ahead. That's all. Just a little bit of thought ahead, and you'll be good. And then you can have fun at the party instead of, you know, waiting on everybody, because that's what I don't like to do. Once I'm done, I want to be done and everyone enjoy, and I can enjoy with them. That's the main thing.
Well, that sounds good. I don't see any other questions for today. So I think we got a few ideas of what we can put out or
Mhm.
maybe have to buy for,
Mhm.
I see you have grapes. So do you usually, any other
Yeah.
fruits you put out?
Well, again, it's that time of year. Like I didn't want to get, um, I mean, where I live, if you live in the city, you probably have a lot more options. But if I get raspberries or fresh blueberries, sometimes, they're just not fresh enough for what I like. But if this was a summertime platter, I'd forget the grapes and I'd have, fresher fruit on here. And maybe, like right now, you could do some oranges, slice up some oranges would have been good. But the dry fruit, I always keep on hand, like, blueberries, cranberries, apricots, mangoes. I mean, you can buy all those now in dry fruit and they're nice and chewy and they add a little extra element. Again, I didn't want to overwhelm these because they have to add cheese and crackers to their plates, but just keep some dried fruit on hand and you'd be surprised. As long as you've got some color in there, add some, I mean, this greenery was from a arrangement that someone sent me. So I just reused, repurposed, just to try to add it, make it look a little more festive. That's all. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.